Bienvenidos a Charada.
Bienvenidos a Charada.
NAYIB BUKELE.
Eres un verdadero líder, le gritaron en Estados Unidos a NAYIB BUKELE.
Thank you. Gracias, muchas gracias.
Bukele es el presidente que todos los países quisieran tener. En este canal Charada, en los comentarios de los videos que subimos, gran parte de los que opinan es para señalar dónde está el motivo principal, por la que el Perú no se consolida como un país desarrollado. El problema está en la calidad de los políticos y gobernantes que tenemos. Casi todos son ladrones, corruptos y mediocres, llegan al cargo político solo para hacerse rico. Esto es cierto, el aporte de los políticos al desarrollo del Perú siempre ha sido nulo. Políticos de centro, izquierda y derecha, son lo mismo. Otro comentó en el canal, si no fuera por los políticos ladrones, mediocres y corruptos, que siempre nos gobiernan, hace rato Perú ya sería potencia mundial. Creo que estos comentarios, de ciudadanos comunes y corrientes, que quieren ver al país próspero, es exacto. Es una realidad, con tantos recursos naturales, un país con mucho potencial, solo está siendo detenido, en su desarrollo, por sus políticos y autoridades corruptas que no aman al Perú, sino aman sus propios intereses personales. Por eso, desde este canal nosotros también decimos: necesitamos un verdadero líder. Escuchemos parte del discurso de NAYIB Bukele en el encuentro de PAC 2024.
The next president of the United States must not only win an election, he must have the vision, the will, and the courage to do whatever it takes. And above all, he must be able to identify the underlying forces that will conspire against him. These dark forces are already taking over your country. You may not see it yet, but it's already happening. You don't see it as clearly because people are designed to see linear changes, not exponential ones. We don't always recognize how fast a problem can multiply and spiral out of control. The problem is much like the metaphor of the boiling frog. Once the water boils, it's already too late. People fail to see these things. It's our nature. Just like the frog, people become complacent and they don't realize how bad things are getting until it's too late. While I know, of course, El Salvador is a lot smaller country, setting aside the differences, there's a similarity with what is happening here in the United States. We also had many apparently isolated problems in the 60s and the 70s, and we failed to realize as a country the severity of them until it became a civil war. By the time we reacted, it was already too late. We were already boiled like the frog. And it took us 50 years, 2 wars, 250,000 lives, and a third of our population displaced, and a near miracle to get our country back.
And you!
As your friend, I want to issue this warning so you don't make the same mistakes we did in the 60s and the 70s. It is not easy to pull yourself back once you're in boiling water. In fact, all the experts said it was impossible. And besides, you don't want to wait 50 years and maybe hope for a miracle to get out of hell. You can still jump before the water boils. Some might say I'm exaggerating, but we can clearly see the signs of a declining society because our own hit rock bottom decades ago. It's like when we see someone getting sick. First, it's maybe just stomachache, or a headache, or a small fever. But if you don't deal with the disease, it will only get worse, and then it may be too late. Even after our first war in El Salvador, we failed again to look into the signs of the second civil war that was coming. the gang war. After 1 million people fled the first war, a lot of them came to live in ghettos here in the United States, where the gangs were formed. When former President Clinton deported a lot of those gang members without telling us they were gang members, they were criminals. They roamed free and recruited young people, thousands of young Salvadorans, to join the gangs. At first, they seemed like petty criminals, but they began to change and transform until they became the unscrupulous terrorists that we know today. Most of them even perform satanic rituals, and this has been well documented. The government back then didn't deal with the disease, nor did the next administration, nor did the ones after that. The disease that had begun with mild symptoms got worse and worse. It became a cancer that seemed incurable. We are already seeing these symptoms in the United States. Big cities in decline like Baltimore, Portland, New York, just to name a few. Places where crime and drugs have become the daily norm, and even accepted and promoted by the government. How many young people have you lost to the streets of Philadelphia or San Francisco, to fentanyl? Did we see these apocalyptic sights 15, 10, 5 years ago? Can you imagine how it will be in the next 5, 10, or 15 years? The same thing was happening in El Salvador. In the span of less than a decade, gangs took control of all the country and our society. They evolved into a parallel government, controlling elections and even political parties. Every aspect of the daily life of most people was controlled by the gangs. Murder capital of the world is a tragic title to hold. Getting rid of that was the bare minimum we had to achieve in order to even start thinking about rebuilding our country. But jumping out of the water when it's already boiling is an almost impossible feat. You are not there yet. And believe me, you don't want to be. We did the unthinkable to cleanse our society. We arrested the terrorists, but we have to remove corrupt judges and corrupt attorneys and prosecutors. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. These corrupt judges and prosecutors were setting the gang members free. Salvadorans did the same. The decision for the direction of our nation was ours, and it continues to be ours. We didn't tolerate being told what to do. In doing so, we did the unthinkable. Against all adversity, we transformed El Salvador from the most dangerous country in the world to the safest in the Western Hemisphere.
Aquí les mencionamos cómo algunos políticos de Latinoamérica trataron de emular las políticas de gobierno de Bukele. En Honduras, la progresista Xiomara Castro ha comenzado a implementar algunas de sus políticas. El ministro de Seguridad de Costa Rica le sugirió a su gobierno que hiciera lo mismo. El alcalde de Lima y flamante estrella de la ultraderecha peruana, Rafael López Aliaga, también propuso un plan Bukele para combatir la delincuencia en su ciudad. En las últimas elecciones locales en Ecuador, que vive una epidemia de violencia, los candidatos que proponían imitar al salvadoreño se multiplicaron. De hecho, una encuesta reciente arrojó que Bukele tiene mejor imagen entre los ecuatorianos que cualquiera de los políticos nacionales. En Chile han aparecido ciudadanos que lo aclaman en pancartas. En Argentina cosecha admiradores en el oficialismo y en la oposición. Lo que hizo Bukele en El Salvador es música para mis oídos, dijo hace poco el ministro de Seguridad de la provincia de Buenos Aires, Sergio Berni, un hombre del peronismo gobernante. Y en Colombia la figura de Bukele creció tanto que algunos sugieren que se convirtió en la principal referencia de oposición al actual presidente, Gustavo Petro. Luego de una riña que protagonizaron ambos mandatarios en Twitter, la conservadora revista Semana lo eligió para su portada, con el título, El milagro Bukele. Hasta aquí este video, deja tus comentarios, dale un fuerte like y suscríbete. Oremos todos y elijamos bien a nuestras futuras autoridades para que el país no sea obstruido una vez más en su desarrollo. Gracias, hasta la próxima.